And of course, Maria is still doing the taco thing. We're all so proud of her. Tenacity.
10 years. And she still makes it sound like a failure.
She's been at it longer than some marriages, you know.
The table laughed loudly, David and Jennifer especially. Maria set her fork down, the clink the only protest she allowed herself. The next morning, a different audience. At 6 a.m., the line at Maria's truck already stretched around the block, 40 deep. Strangers who would never be invited to the Vargas table stood 40 minutes in the sun for her mole. Her handmade tortillas, her quiet art. A regular called out, "Best mole in the city, Maria." She just smiled, the way she always did.
This is why I do it, not for them. For the ones who taste my food and close their eyes.
At dinner, she was a joke, a cautionary tale. Behind that window, flour-smeared and sweating, she was a master of her craft. Her family didn't see it, but the neighborhood did, and someone else was about to. 10 years earlier, Maria worked a corporate job downtown, her business degree mounted like a trophy on the beige wall.
I can't do this another day. Every morning, I feel like I am suffocating in plain sight.
She handed in her resignation with no safety net. Just her grandmother's mole recipe and the fierce, quiet certainty.
A food truck. After we paid for that degree. Maria, you were throwing your life away for a hobby.
They'll never understand, but I have to taste my own life before it goes stale.
The first months were brutal. No lines, just a girl in a truck learning that passion alone doesn't pay bills. But some people taste truth. By year 2, her mole had its own small army of believers. A local paper called her a hidden gem. Inside her truck, she pinned every positive review, a paper shield against the voices waiting for her to fail back home.
Corner office by 30, that's the plan. But hey, some people need passion projects.
A decade later at that dinner table, she remained the cautionary tale, but the line outside her window was about to rewrite the narrative. The following Sunday, the Vargas family gathered again. David arrived with champagne and an announcement.
Regional VP, youngest in the firm's history. Not bad for a passionless corporate shill, right?
And we just closed on the 6-bedroom in Preston Hills. The basement alone is bigger than some apartments.
We're just so glad. She's found something that makes her happy. Not everyone needs a corner office.
Happy isn't the same as respected. They'll never let me forget the difference.
Maria slipped out before dessert, driving back to the only place that ever felt like home. Her truck. Inside, she found a note tucked beneath the order pad, a napkin with a handwritten message. It read, "You are the reason I believe in this city. Don't quit." No signature, just a smudged phone number.
10 years of holding it together, and a napkin from a stranger breaks me open.
She folded the napkin, slid it into her apron next to her grandmother's recipe. The quiet fuel she'd need for tomorrow. That night, Maria's phone buzzed relentlessly. The family group chat, usually dormant, had come alive with mockery. Jennifer had shared a cartoon meme. A figure flipping burgers with the caption, "When you follow your dreams," literally. 3 laughing emojis.
Lol. So true. At least she's consistent.
10,000 meals I've served, and this is what they see? A punchline.
Maria held the delete button. Watched the conversation vanish. Then removed the app entirely from her phone, a quiet, decisive boundary. Before dawn the next morning, she stood over her prep station with renewed clarity. The mole needed something more, an eighth of a teaspoon of cinnamon, a whisper of extra cocoa.
This right here. This is my territory. They don't get to season my sauce.
A regular named Mrs. Ellison hobbled to the window, her silver hair catching the sunlight. She bit into a taco and closed her eyes, nodding slowly. Maria caught her own reflection beside the framed photo of her grandmother, the woman who first taught her that mole is memory. She didn't know it yet, but the quiet man who would upend her world was already driving toward her makeshift kitchen, notepad in his passenger seat. On a slow Tuesday at 3, a man with a receding hairline and wire-rimmed glasses approached the truck.
I'll try the chicken tinga, the al pastor, the carnitas, and all 3 moles, please.
That's 6 plates. You sure? Most people don't order the whole menu.
Yes, your masa. Is it from nixtamal or a mix? I can always tell.
Nixtamal. Soaked and ground before sunrise. Why do you ask?
He didn't answer, just smiled faintly and wrote in a small notebook, the pen moving with purpose.
Your mole negro, the chocolate source. The bitterness is exceptionally balanced.
Oaxacan cacao, stone ground. My grandmother's proportion. You taste the difference?
He paid, then slid a $50 bill into the tip jar, a sum that covered 3 more meals.
That man wasn't just here to eat. He was interrogating my kitchen. I'll remember him.
That evening, Maria called her closest friend and described the encounter. The 6 plates, the $50 tip, the interrogation about nixtamal. Her friend laughed. Maybe he's a food critic. Maria dismissed it with a dry chuckle, but the word critic stuck in her skull like a burr.
Critics don't tip $50, but he did know masa. He knew mole. He was measuring something.
The next afternoon, Linda's name flashed on her screen. The call lasted barely 2 minutes.
Sunday is David's promotion dinner. Wear something appropriate, not flour-dusted. You know how people talk.
Appropriate. Because my clothes are the problem, not the fact that they treat me like an embarrassment.
The call ended. Maria pressed her palms flat on the stainless steel counter, the cold metal grounding her.
I'll go. I'll smile. And then I'll come back here, where my food speaks louder than any of them.
She turned to the evening rush. 40 more customers who didn't care about dress codes, only about the perfect bite. And as she served each plate, the stranger's questions echoed, but the answer, she hoped, was already on their taste buds. At David's promotion dinner, the room glittered with toasts to corner offices and 6-bedroom homes, none of them hers.
Vice president by 32. They said I was too aggressive. I showed them what aggressive looks like.
And we just finalized the Preston Hills estate. 7 bedrooms, a pool house, and not a single mortgage payment.
Maria, have you thought about looking for a real job? Something with a 401k, perhaps.
I have a real job, Mom. I run a business. I feed 100 people a day. I'm happy with that.
I read an article on street food trends. Can a taco truck ever turn a real profit? Or is it just a lifestyle thing?
The table murmured polite laughter. Maria let the fork slip from her fingers. The clink swallowed by their amusement. She excused herself early, the weight of another dinner pressing on her chest. In the car, she checked her phone. 1 missed call. An unrecognized number. No voicemail. The screen glowed for a long moment.
Who calls without leaving a message? Someone who expects you to call back.
At dawn, Maria called back. The voice on the other end belonged to a journalist from City Eats, wanting to write a feature on her truck.
You want to write about my truck? Really? I mean, yes, of course. When?
The interview lasted an hour. She spoke of nixtamal, Oaxacan cacao, and her grandmother's influence, just as she had with the quiet man. A week later, the article came out. Her face smiled from a glossy page under the headline, "The Best Mole You've Never Heard Of." The line at her truck doubled overnight. For 10 days, she sold out before noon. Strangers thanked her for the article.
I saw that little write-up. Anyone can get a fluff piece. It's not like it's the Michelin guide.
A fluff piece. But the journalist said my mole was a revelation. Exactly what the man with the notebook said.
She pulled the napkin from her apron. The man's questions, the journalist's praise, they shared the same precise language.
Maybe there's something more here. Maybe I am not just a cautionary tale.
That night, she worked with a quiet smile. The seed that stranger planted was starting to push through concrete. 3 weeks later, the City Eats buzz had flatlined. Her truck coughed steam and died on a quiet Tuesday morning. The mechanic's quote was $3,000, almost every dollar she had saved over 10 years.
Your father and I can cover the repair if you promise to start looking for something reliable soon. A real income.
A loan with strings to kill the only thing I've built. They'll never believe this is a real business.
She declined coldly, then called a friend who knew diesel engines. The next 3 days, she lived under the chassis, grease in her hair, knuckles scraped raw. She refused to hand over her dream for a 401k. On Thursday, the engine turned over. Her savings were ashes, but the plancha was hot again. That weekend, Mrs. Ellison limped back. The line was thinner, but the mole was immortal.
I own every bolt on this truck, every ounce of sauce. No one can take that from me.
She locked up at midnight, swaying on her feet, but inside her burned the quiet certainty of someone who bet on herself. 2 days after the repair, Maria stopped by her mother's house to pick up a forgotten casserole dish. Through the hallway, she heard Linda's voice.
Oh, Maria. She threw the offer back in our faces. Stubborn to the point of failure, that one. I've stopped hoping.
So that's the verdict. Even my own mother thinks I am a lost cause.
She didn't confront her. She placed the keys on the porch and drove until the city fell away behind her. Inside the dark truck, she let go. The sobs were silent at first, then doubled her over the prep counter. Then a memory surfaced. The quiet man, closing his eyes over her mole, his almost imperceptible nod.
He didn't look at me like a charity case. He looked at me like I mattered.
By 4 a.m., she was back at her prep station, knife moving through onions. The sting cleared her head.
I don't need her blessing. I just need my hands in the masa and my mole on the stove.
She pulled the napkin from her apron, read it again, and pinned it beside her grandmother's photo. She was still here. Another slow Tuesday, the air thick with the memory of the man with the notebook. Maria stared at the empty folding chairs and allowed herself a rare moment of reflection.
10 years, and I finally understand. I cook for the people who get it, not the ones who never will.
She tore off the note, read it once more, and tucked it into her apron beside the napkin from the stranger. That afternoon, a young couple wandered up, phone out, showing her the City Eats article. They'd driven an hour just to taste her mole. The woman took a bite, closed her eyes, and nudged her husband. His own mouth full, he nodded slowly.
That look, the same as that quiet man. That's all the validation I need.
They left a note in the tip jar, worth every mile. Maria pinned it with the others on her bulletin board.
I don't need my family to see me. I see me now.
She stood still amid the sizzling plancha, the scent of survival thick as smoke. The world outside could hurl its judgments. She was already anchored. That night, her phone buzzed. The caller ID read, Michelin Guide North America. The next morning, her phone erupted. The Michelin Guide's latest Bib Gourmand list had dropped overnight, and Maria's Oaxacan kitchen was on it. She scrolled through the citation, her finger trembling. One of the most exciting cooks in the state. Mole that tastes like memory.
That's the man's words. The man with the notebook. He wasn't a critic. He was the critic.
By 6 a.m., the line snaked past the next block. News vans crowded the curb, and the world had come to eat. A reporter pushed a microphone through the window. How does it feel? Maria's voice cracked. I don't know yet. Cameras flashed as she served her first plate. Her hands moved on autopilot, while her mind struggled to catch up. The line grew longer with every head that turned. Customers held up phones to show the Michelin listing as they ordered.
All those years they called it a hobby. And now it's a destination.
She spotted Mrs. Ellison in the line, tears in the old woman's eyes, and Maria had to look away to hold herself together. By noon, every ingredient was gone. The food truck that had been a decade-long punchline had just rewritten its own destiny. That evening, Maria's screen lit up. The family group chat she had deleted months ago had found a way back. Messages poured in. David wrote, Sis, I always knew this day would come. Let me help manage the business side. No charge. Jennifer posted a selfie with her cocktail. Caption, When your little sister is officially a Michelin-recognized chef, so proud.
2 days ago, she shared a meme calling me a failure. Now it's hashtags and sister pride.
Then Linda called, her voice dripping with a sweetness Maria hadn't heard in a decade.
Sweetheart, we're so thrilled. We should celebrate at your truck. I'll invite all my bridge friends. Just save us a few tables.
Thank you, Mom. But the truck doesn't take reservations. If they'd like to come, they're welcome to stand in line like everyone else.
The group chat continued to explode. Cousins she hadn't seen since childhood were offering to help for the family discount.
All those years of silence. And now everyone wants their photograph next to my truck.
She walked to her truck, the plancha already cleaned for tomorrow. The noise in her phone could wait. She had moles to perfect. Maria took a breath in the quiet truck, then opened the family group chat one last time to craft her reply. She typed, "Thank you for the kind words. I am focusing on the customers who stood in line before the guide. The line starts at 11.
No exclamation marks. Just grace and steel.
Within minutes, a private message from Linda appeared. Could you cater for my bridge club? Just 15 of us. As a gift, you know. Maria's reply was immediate. I can offer them a family discount, 15% off, but I can't give meals away. This is how I earn my living.
A decade of feeling like a hobby, and now I finally charge for my worth.
Then David's message arrived. Need a reserved table for key clients Thursday. Happy to pay, obviously. Make it happen. She wrote back, the truck doesn't reserve tables. I'd be honored if your clients stand in line like everyone else. Best meal they'll ever wait for.
He said, happy to pay, like it was a favor to me. No, David, I am the one who earns now.
She tucked her grandmother's photo into her apron pocket and stepped out to face the first light of a new day. The noise was fading at last. 3 days later, Linda stepped out of a sedan with 2 Bridge Club friends, all in pressed linen, expecting to be seated immediately.
Maria, sweetheart, we're here. Just 3 of us. I told you, my bridge friends. Could you make space at the counter?
I am glad you came, Mom. The menu's on the board. We'll have your order ready in about 20 minutes, like everyone else.
Linda's jaw tightened, but she pulled out her wallet. For the first time, she paid full price for her daughter's food. Minutes later, the 3 women sat at a picnic table. Linda's friends took their first bites and fell silent, then started gushing. This mole is extraordinary, one of them said. Linda, you never told us she was this good. Linda's fork paused midair. From inside the truck, Maria wiped a counter and watched. Her mother's face did something it had never done before. It flickered with shame, then softened.
There it is. Not an apology, but a crack in the wall. I'll take it.
Linda wiped her mouth with a napkin and looked toward the truck. For 10 years, she had called this a hobby. Now she was just another satisfied customer. Maria gave a small nod through the window and returned to her plancha. The line was long and she had work to do. A few months later, Maria stood before a small vacant storefront on the east side, a block from where her grandmother used to live.
This is it. A real kitchen. I'm putting everything I have into this, no strings from anyone.
She used the Michelin buzz to secure a small business loan, the first she'd ever taken, and signed the lease with steady hands. She hired 2 single moms from her old neighborhood, women who reminded her of herself a decade ago, hungry, overlooked, and full of fight.
You'll learn every recipe from scratch. My grandmother's way. Same standards, same heart, and fair pay, no shortcuts.
Opening day, the custom neon sign buzzed above the door. Maria's Oaxacan kitchen. The truck was parked out front, still running too.
I used to dream of a place with walls. Now it's real, and it's mine.
Inside, she took a weathered recipe card, stained with mole and decades of handling, and slipped it into a frame on the wall.
This is the seed that started everything. Abuela, this is for you.
The truck still fed the street, but now Maria had roots. Her empire was small, built with hands that had learned to hold tight and let go in the same motion. The restaurant was closed, the chairs stacked. Maria sat alone at a cornered table, the Michelin plaque, the only company she needed. The bold Oaxacan kitchen neon buzzed outside, casting pink light onto the empty room.
10 years of punchlines, and now my name in the same guide as 3-star kitchens.
She thought of the quiet inspector, still unnamed, whose nod had shifted everything, and the truck, her first loyal soldier, still parked outside the restaurant, like a promise kept.
I no longer need their permission to be proud. I am enough.
On the drive home, she pulled over by a small park. The bench was empty, the night air clean.
All that scorn. It's behind me. I am not carrying it anymore.
She passed the silent truck on her way, its silhouette a familiar shape against the streetlights. Tomorrow would bring another line, but tonight she let the peace fill her chest. On a quiet Wednesday afternoon, Linda stepped up to the counter alone and ordered a mole plate, sliding cash across before Maria could speak. She took her plate to a corner table, ate slowly, and didn't look at her phone. When she finished, she wrote something on a napkin, placed a generous cash tip over it, and stood. She tucked her purse under her arm and walked out. The door chimed her only goodbye. An hour later, Maria stepped out to clear the table. The cash and napkin caught her eye immediately. The napkin read, in Linda's careful cursive, "Your grandmother would be proud."
No signature. She didn't need one.
She folded it carefully, then tucked it into her apron pocket next to her grandmother's photograph. She stood there a moment, then walked back toward the kitchen, a new quiet settling over her. It wasn't an apology. It was an acknowledgement, and for now, that was enough. The next evening, the truck hummed in its spot, the Bib Gourmand sticker catching the last sun. The line stretched 30 deep, a tangle of familiar faces and first-timers drawn by the review. Maria moved behind the counter with a decade's muscle memory, each plate a reply to every doubt she'd endured.
This, the heat, the hunger, the hope, this is the real win. No clapping crew. But I am full.
A regular leaned in, Michelin on the window, "But you are still our Maria."
That's the secret. The food never changed. The world just finally paid attention.
The sun dropped, gilding the truck. She glanced at her reflection. Not defiant, just quiet. The road of ridicule was miles behind. Her mole had outlasted every insult. She understood now. Vindication wasn't about proving them wrong. It was about staying so true you proved yourself right. She turned the ignition, the truck rumbling into the dusk. Tomorrow's line would come, and she'd be there, as always. The next morning, before sunrise, the line had already begun to form, a quiet queue of believers. She opened the window, and the first face was a young girl, maybe 10, holding her mother's hand.
Good morning. What can I get for you, chef?
The girl whispered to her mother, then looked up. "One day, I want a truck like yours."
You already have the most important ingredient. Hunger. The rest you learn by doing.
The girl's eyes widened. Maria slipped her an extra taco, the seed of a dream already planted. Later, inside her restaurant, Maria hung the girl's napkin sketch beside the framed recipe and the Michelin plaque.
Abuela's mole started this. But these hands, they'll keep it alive beyond me.
That night, the truck still glowed on the corner, a beacon of everything she'd fought for. Quiet, honest, permanent, and the line never really ended. It just kept growing, one believer at a time. A few months later, on a crisp Saturday morning, Maria stood inside her restaurant, the lunch prep already humming. Through the kitchen pass, she could see the truck parked outside, its own line forming, a daily reminder of where she started.
10 years of ridicule, and now 2 kitchens feeding a neighborhood, both run by women who refuse to be counted out.
She hung her apron on its hook, a simple gesture that carried the weight of a decade's journey. Linda had called that morning, asking to bring a friend for dinner. Maria said yes, no discount necessary. The olive branch was small, but real. It would take time. And she had time now. She stepped outside, the sun warm on her face, and watched the line stretch down the block. The Bib Gourmand sticker still clung to the window, a quiet trophy that needed no pedestal. She didn't need to prove anything anymore. She was already home, and in the long, patient line outside, another believer took a quiet step forward. Maria walked to the park bench where she used to rest after 12-hour shifts, back when the truck was a gamble and sleep was scarce. She remembered the inspector, a stranger with a notebook, and how his quiet nod had rewritten her entire world.
He saw my mole as art. My family saw it as a joke, but I kept cooking. That was the whole battle.
She walked back to the truck as dusk gathered. The night's first customer was already there, leaning against a lamppost. She lifted the shutter. The familiar heat rushed her face. The plancha sizzled, as if it had never stopped.
Welcome back. What can I get you?
The line grew again, just as it had for 10 years, but now it came with a quiet difference. The world had finally listened. At closing, she wiped the counters, folded her apron, and paused by the passenger seat where a worn napkin still rested in the glove box. She didn't need to read it. She knew every word. It had become part of her. She drove home under streetlights, the engine a familiar lullaby. The truck was parked. The kitchen was closed. But her story was far from finished.